Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, administrators and guests here this evening. We're starting our board meeting. Today is May the 17th? 16th, thank you. May the 16th. And it's at 7:02 p.m. Is there a motion from the board to approve the minutes of March the 7th? Those are the old minutes that... they're not out yet. Oh, they're not out yet, that's right. So the May 2nd ones were distributed. And I saw the list. Do all board members have a copy of the May 2nd minutes? Yeah, okay. So is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move approval of the minutes of May 2nd.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ricky. And are there any amendments or corrections to those minutes? Okay, there being none, all in favor of approving the May 2nd minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? So board members, no, I'm seeing those as a draft. Ruth, you're seeing them as a draft as well. We're making comments or corrections or additions to them, and then we're sending them back to Jane. So when you get them, they should be in pretty tight order. Okay? Are there any communications this evening for the clerk's report? Okay, there being none, then I'm going to move then right into recognition of groups and individuals. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Holliday, who's here this evening to give us a presentation.
Short presentation, hopefully.
As long as you need, sir.
Oh, all right.
Don't say that to Mr. Holliday.
Oh.
Actually, I wanted to do something. You reminded me. There's too much light coming from you, so. I'm here seeking your approval, hopefully, for a couple of travel opportunities for next school year for the Social Studies seminar. It has been with the Social Studies department at the high school for several years, and it rotates to different members of the department. This is the third time I've had it, and each time I have, I've prepared a little bit of a laundry list of topics that I feel I can go into with enough expertise to push students beyond the regular curriculum that they have here at school. So I held a meeting to determine the content. At that meeting, parents and students were invited and decided that they wanted the troubles in Northern Ireland, the Vietnam War era, particularly having to do with the issue of unexploded ordnance left behind by the war, and the third one was the John F. Kennedy assassination. So it's going to be about 6 weeks per topic. I also said that I would try to provide travel opportunities. I held a meeting, the students came. I will say that something my father used to say to me, and that is that your eyes are bigger than your stomach when you're loading up your plate. But they asked me to come and make a presentation to you to approve both a trip to Northern Ireland and one to Vietnam. Yes.
How many parents and students were involved in the process?
Not many at the first meeting, more at the second meeting. By more, I mean maybe 3/4 of a classroom full of people at the second meeting. Really what I'm hoping is that you would approve these. In no way do I think that all of them could go, but then there's another issue. First of all, I don't know what the schedule is yet for next year. I don't know when the Social Studies seminar is going to be offered. There's enough students in it, so there will be 2 sections, so it could be 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, or 1 each, which really would cause some logistical nightmares for me. But if you were to approve, say, both of these, and some students, say a sizable group, wanted to go to Northern Ireland and were able to raise the money to do so, and the others to Vietnam and were able to do so, would you allow smaller groups, one group maybe to go here at a certain time and another group to go over here at a different time? So that's really what I'm asking. I like to make my trips interdisciplinary and maybe even use Skype to communicate back with the school. I would like a student who's taken out of BUHS on a social studies trip for 8 days, including a weekend, so not too much loss of school time, to be able to be in communication with the school and to seamlessly move right back into a math course or an English course or whatever they're taking, photography, make any difference. I use Skype quite often in my classroom. I had 9 foreign exchange students in my class last fall, and we got to talk to a grandparent of one of those students whose home was occupied for 10 years in the Cold War by Soviet officers. We got to talk to a fellow whose family was a victim of the effort of ethnic cleansing during the breakup of Yugoslavia during the 90s. For example, the kids could see those people face to face, talking about the technology and using it. So we're looking at conflict resolution and the troubles in Northern Ireland, and our effort with Vietnam would be with an organization called Project Renew to restore the environment and neutralize the effects of war. 350,000 tons of UXOs, duds, matches that won't strike so you throw them away, left behind at the end of the Vietnam War. And every year since 1975, when the war ended, somebody, last year the fewest number, 7 people, died from playing with bombs, or some farmers getting together and renting a metal detector, and if they can find a 500-pound American bomb and get it to the scrap metal place, it's 3 years' salary. So you can't get them to stop. Anyway, in Northern Ireland, this is what the itinerary would look like. We'd be rooted in Belfast at a cross-community organization called Farset International. Our first day is a tired day, but we would do the Republican Catholic part of town, Falls Road, go to Sinn Féin. This past summer I was there teaching a course for Castleton State with teachers from Wyndham Southeast and other places, and we had a chance to meet, and did, Jerry Adams. Milltown Cemetery, the Clonard District, which was at the heart of the troubles in 1969, a devastated neighborhood today that the peace wall, in quotation marks, goes right through. Meet with Pat Garrity, a former member of the Irish Republican Army, and then the evening we'd be prepped for the Unionist side the next day, which is in East Belfast, and the Shankill. There are 2 cross-community artists today who can't meet each other in their part of Belfast. They can go downtown and sit together, it's okay. But if the Catholic guy went into the Shankill, or the Protestant fellow went over into the Falls Road area, could get killed today still. And we'd meet William McQuiston, Twister, who is a member of the Ulster Defence Association, which is a Protestant counterpart to the Irish Republican Army. We'd visit a cross-community school, or have students from there come to us, prepare to go to Londonderry. Here's the peace wall, by the way. This guy is dressed in blue because it's the primary color of the Protestant Unionist side. This girl is dressed in green, which is the Catholic Republican side. Time to read that. But day 5, we would drive across the country, which is about an hour and 20 minutes in Northern Ireland, to Londonderry, or Derry, depending upon your preference. And the Irish can tell which it is, depending upon what you call the city. If you call it Londonderry, you're a Protestant Unionist sympathizer. If you call it Derry, you're a Catholic Republican sympathizer. And a Protestant will correct you if you say Derry, and the Catholic will correct you if you say Londonderry. We'll meet with John Kelly, whose brother was shot before his and his mother's eyes on Bloody Sunday, 1972. Gene Hegarty, who had a relative shot that day, but we'll also visit the Apprentice Boys Hall, which is a bastion of unionism. Following day, we'll go to Portadown, which is where the parades march from this church, the Drum Creek Church up on the hill. It's actually up here and around the corner. It's a Protestant church, the main Protestant church for rallies that have taken place over the last 30 years. And then the Protestants insist on using the traditional parade route. And if you look carefully here, you can see the Republic of Ireland flags. That lets you know that you're in a Catholic neighborhood. But they march down the hill, right down here and into the center of town. Again, in a Catholic neighborhood, you can see they've painted the street lamp posts, the colors of the Republic of Ireland, in the Loyalist, Unionist part of town, red, white, and blue of the other side. If we left today, and of course you never know because exchange rates change, it would cost the kids, so this is with a smaller coach driving us around, it would cost this much money exactly. And if we left, well, a couple of days ago, it would cost this much. This would need a bigger coach.
Per student, for hotels, meals, expected expenses?
Yes. No, well, they would have to take their own money if they wanted to buy things beyond
Right.
what.
But meals and
Is
things and
provided,
hotels and airfare, you estimate
Yeah.
that
We stay at Farset International, which is
like a hostel?
well, it isn't a hostel. It's an education center, really. Yeah. And it's between the two communities. And its whole effort is to bring the communities together. And they think that starting to do it with you. Republic of Vietnam, it takes a long time to get to Hanoi. The airfare varies widely, depending upon whether you go, I can send this to you.
Oh, okay. I'm just used to writing.
Okay. I saw you writing like crazy. I said,
I'm not actually, we'll be in the minutes.
Okay, all right. We'd be in Hanoi, Ho Lau Prison, which you know as the Hanoi Hilton where John McCain was. Matter of fact, this is John McCain's bed. We'd visit the old quarter, the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum and other things. General Giap is still alive. He helped defeat the French and the Americans. The French at Dien Bien Phu with the Viet Minh and then orchestrated military operations against the Americans. We'd go to the demilitarized zone, which was anything but. We would stop in Dong Ha to visit Project Renew headquarters. And we're sitting on about $2,400 right now that our school group called Students for Renew raised a couple of years ago. And we may try to raise some more money. We have a sister school in Virginia. I and a student from BUHS went to Virginia, made a presentation about this to Freedom High School in Loudoun County, Virginia. And they also have a Student for Renew program. And between the two schools, we're about $2,400. And I wanted to show you this because this is my group in Vietnam. It includes Jan Scruggs. He's a veteran of the Vietnam War who came home, started as a level 5 employee at the Labor Department, which is bottom of the scale. Worked his way up and eventually, feeling that Vietnam veterans deserve something, was given permission to be part-time and then eventually leave the Labor Department. He went out on his own, raised $9 million, and commissioned the contest that got Maya Lin to design the Vietnam War Memorial. So this is the man that did that, and he's the head of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. They're connected with Project Renew, and with money raised by his organization, this fellow over here who lost a leg and half of one arm was presented a brand new home, and we were there for the dedication of the home, $2,000 for a home. Brand new home in Vietnam. We'd go to Hue, the Citadel where the Tet Offensive took place. This is the Citadel today, and this is a wall that they haven't had enough money to fix up, damaged during the combat building to building when the American forces were fighting inside the Citadel at Hue. We'd go to Ho Chi Minh City and visit the Cu Chi Tunnel Complex. And I thought you might appreciate this. I couldn't fit. Woody, if you say anything, I couldn't fit. But this Vietnamese fellow with us, his name is Quinn. First of all, we all walked over this and never saw it. He said, you just went by an entranceway to the Cu Chi Tunnel Complex. We went back and couldn't find it. Of course, we didn't know what we were looking for. But he opened up, and then he said, this is how they got down inside. He's about my height, 135 pounds soaking wet. So he couldn't go down this way. Anyway, there are places where they do allow tourists in. And I crawled around about 500 meters in there. couldn't take any photos because it's too dark, you can't see them. We'd also, in Ho Chi Minh City, visit what used to be the American Embassy, the Reunification Palace, which used to be the Presidential Palace, but since the country's been reunified, its name and purpose has changed. The Atrocities Museum, the Brinks Hotel, where there was a Christmas Eve attack on American military personnel and other places, and then return to the United States. Very, very expensive. $1,063 would include accommodation, meals, and transportation. At this point, by train, not by airplane in country. So once we're there by train. The airfare, what I've been told and what I've seen, it varies widely. It could be as little as this or as much as this. So the trip minimally, if we left today, would cost this and could cost as much as this. Like I said earlier, eyes are bigger than the stomach. But I would like you to approve both, and I don't know, maybe we could find a windfall. Somebody would support us, maybe we could get a grant. And if the money came to us, that's the wreckage of an American B-52 in Hanoi that they've chosen not to take out. Questions?
Well, you said this would be during a regular school time, not during the vacation weeks?
Well, I don't know, Woody, to be honest with you. I don't even know when the course is going to be offered yet. It could be during vacation. If not, it would be built around a weekend. Both of them are for 8 days, so it could be 3 days either side of a weekend.
So what I'd like to do is someone make a motion, and then we can discuss it. Ruth?
Oh, okay.
I move approval of the 2 trips, one to Northern Ireland and one to Vietnam, presented by Mr. Holliday for the 2011-2012 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded? Okay. So there's normal conditions that we put on it. Do you want to put the normal conditions on it?
Insurance.
Insurance rider, and that the funding for it be raised by the students, and that the trip would fund the substitute teacher.
Sure, sounds good.
Did I cover everything?
I think I did, right?
That's why I was asking that question, to
Yeah.
see if we needed substitutes.
Mr. Perrin, do you wish to be involved in timing of this as well, subject to timing?
I would, once we see the schedule.
Okay, is that suitable to you?
Sure.
Okay, so the one other condition would be timing to be approved by the principal.
My main concerns are to go when the cost is cheapest, airfare particularly,
Least expensive.
least expensive. Not cheap, least expensive. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Janice.
Good.
I'm still new with this and haven't been at the high school yet, really, but obviously I haven't had a kid at the high school. So at the beginning you said that something rotated around?
The social studies seminar.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be a pretty up-tempo thing that builds on things that students have had during their core learning, social studies 1, 2, and 3. And it rotates around the department. This year, it's being taught by Ms. Levesque, and it's the Holocaust.
And these sorts of trips, I know, like first meeting, I think we approved the trip to New Orleans, I think. I mean, these are fairly standard sorts of things.
Yes.
And there's, other than an insurance rider, there's no cost to the school district?
The insurance rider is just an amendment. The cost is for the substitute teacher.
Okay.
So during the time that Bill is gone on these trips, or whoever accompanies these trips, there would need to be substitute teachers hired for that.
So that would be our cost, or are you saying that would be?
That would be absorbed by the taxpayers.
By the taxpayers?
Traditionally, we do that.
And the rider doesn't cost anything?
The rider does not, because it's simply an amendment to accommodate the students being out of district. Ruth?
So, Mr. Holliday, how many chaperones would be going? Would you be the only faculty member going?
If the group was small, I've gone alone. I went to Dallas last year with 8 students. I went alone. If it's bigger, then I might try to find some chaperones, particularly a female, for example, if there are female students. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't look at me.
No one really would want to go because they have to pay their own way.
I don't know. They both sound like wonderful
They
trips.
sound
and
like great
I
trips.
wish I could
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, you could. I'd absolutely love to have a school board member, administrator. Absolutely love to.
Thank you.
So this is one in the cycle, for instance, similar to the trip, different place, obviously, in topic, that you did to Dallas. And so this is an addition to other such trips.
Yeah, over the years, I've offered and taken students to Dallas for the Kennedy assassination on the weekend of the assassination,
Yeah.
closest to it,
Remember
November.
that.
I've also taken students to Birmingham, Selma, and Montgomery, Alabama for the civil rights movement. And years ago, before any of your time on the school board, I took students to England in the 90s. I used to take students to Washington, D.C. as well for the Close-Up Foundation program.
So this isn't really, I mean, there's been some wonderful trips offered over the last few years, but it just, at some point, we get maybe too many. But this is not really adding trips on, it's just, this is the place you want to go this time around.
Well, these are places that we haven't gone before.
Yeah.
These, I don't think, need to be justified as how they relate to the curriculum. They are the curriculum.
Right.
In this
No,
particular
that's
case.
clear.
Yeah.
I don't have any question about that at all.
Okay.
Okay, Ian?
So, with these 2 trips, it's a total of 12 days out of school that they'd be missing school, and that we
Well,
It could be
those
it could be
periods?
Each 8-day trip, so that's
16.
16 minus 4, 12. That's right.
Yeah.
If they go during school time.
Is that a customary amount for these trips as they've been in the past?
Well, you mentioned New Orleans. They went for the entire week before vacation and came home in time for vacation. China goes for, how long?
10
10
days.
school days.
10
10
days,
school
right?
days.
Right.
And a vacation. So they're over there for what, 3 weeks? Oh,
21
yeah.
days.
Yeah. And I don't know what else there is.
Most of
Ms.
them-
Levesque went to the Holocaust Museum, but that was a weekend. She left on Friday morning, came back Monday. Oh, no, she left on Saturday and came back Monday. That's the shortest one they took a bus all day and came back a bus all day, and they were there one day.
So you would expect that the same group of students would go to both, or is that?
I don't know, Woody, to be honest with you. Not necessarily. There are larger numbers than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So Doug Kroc, the Social Studies Department Chair, has already decided to divide it into 2 groups. And horror of horrors, if one of the courses runs in the fall and the other one in the spring.
So you have a lot of money that you're going to need to raise for this, to do this. Are you anticipating applying to any, or for any grants?
I've already sent, the students give me their email, and they're on my email list. I've already sent an email out for feelers to people who would be, parents who would be interested
Helping
in
fund?
working with grants.
Yep. Okay. Good. Any further discussion? So I think we've covered all the bases on this. Yeah. Okay, are we ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of approving the motion for the 2 trips with the conditions as described, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? No, motion's unanimous. Are there
Thank you.
any abstentions? I think everybody voted, but no abstentions. You're all set?
I'm also on the record, I was 13 minutes, I expected 10, and you folks extended it with those questions.
Damn question.
Just wanted you to know. No,
You wish to change your vote?
Wait till I'm gone. Thank
It's
you.
out of your committee. Sure.
I'll get this out of your face here in a second.
Okay, take your time. We're going to go on with the
All
agenda.
right, yeah. I'll turn the light back on.
We'll move into consent agenda. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Bob to go into consent
Second.
agenda, seconded by Ruth. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? None. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Woodworth, to discuss finance.
Okay. The Finance Committee met on May 4th, and we approved warrants numbers 1195 and 1197 through 1203 in the amount of $175,259.79. We also approved warrants from May 2nd. The first group was from April 18th. From May 2nd, numbers 1204, 1207, 1208, 1210 through 1212, and 1210 through 1211 and 1213 in the amount of $200,768.83. In addition, we approved payrolls from April 8th in the amount of $451,709.61, and April 22nd in the amount of $452,861.69. We also met with Robert Clark, who is in charge of the plant operations and maintenance here, who had a list of projects and things that he wanted to complete before the end of the year. And this amounted to about $76,000. There is clearly room in the budget for that. However, these were things that may not have necessarily been budgeted originally. They are repairs that are needed, and there's a few related to stormwater swales in the yards, little work on the softball retaining field, some replacement screens and windows, and some work on the makeup air unit, which has an issue with overheating. We reviewed all of these projects and felt like they were projects that needed to be taken care of, and we are assured that that department will still come in under budget, so we gave our blessing to these repairs to be completed before the end of the year, and we will still have be well under budget in that department. And our next meeting is this Wednesday at 7:45 in the central office.
Where is it? When is it?
This Wednesday at 7:45.
Oh, so we are still holding it. I think we're moving it.
To when?
We're trying to work on a date right now. I can't attend, and I don't think Scott can attend either.
Oh, well, I wasn't aware of that, because it originally came out as Tuesday.
I understand. We were going to contact everybody in the next 24 hours.
Okay.
As of right now, the meeting is warned for on the agenda, just so you know, it's warned for tomorrow.
Yes, well, we got that corrected for public reporting, I believe.
Yeah, and then, so it is still warned then for Wednesday.
So we will know.
We'll know
by
hopefully tomorrow. If you do not hear anything, it is still scheduled. You just may not have a quorum.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have a class. I'm taking a class that day, and I'll be out of town. Planning and policy.
Planning and policy did not meet.
I noticed it was quiet in here this evening. Teacher curriculum committee.
Has not met since our last meeting, but we are meeting a week from today at 6 in this room for further discussion with the English department around future planning.
Okay. BAMS committee
Also has not met since our last meeting.
and career center committee.
We have not met.
Okay. So anything else under consent agenda this evening? There being none, then let's move to approve consent agenda as presented. Any questions before we vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Consent agenda is approved. We'll move into the administrative reports. And we'll start out with Ingrid.
Okay, June 15th is BAM's move up, and I talked with David about it. He typically delivers an address to our students, but I think Mr. Janis will do that this year. We're delighted to have him do that. 6:30, but you'll be getting more information in the mail as well.
6:15.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. But thank you very much for doing that.
It's an honor.
Yes, and it's always very
It's an
well.
honor. It's always well attended.
Yeah, packed. Our annual Pops concert is tomorrow evening in the auditorium at 7 o'clock. You're all invited. It's always equally wonderful. And on Wednesday morning, we're having a concert for the student body. We like to do that as well. Good opportunity for our performers to present and for our student body to appreciate their work. And that's at 9:20 Wednesday morning, if anybody would like to come to that. We are in the midst of interviewing for social studies candidates, and we've been through a couple of days of interviews so far. I've observed 2 candidates teach so far. We have others coming later this week for both interviews and teaching. So we're moving through a process that will not be resolved until sometime into next week. And that is for 2 anticipated resignations. Actually, one of them, I did not bring her letter with me, so I have 2 resignations to present to the board tonight. I'll do those at the end.
Do those in under new business.
Yeah. I'll come back to those. 2 teachers and I wrote a grant a few months ago. It's called Connect the Dots 4. It's a technology grant. And we were awarded that grant, and by virtue of that, each of us will receive an iPad 2, and we will go off to nearly a week of training, 1 day next week, 3 days in June, a day in July, and then there's another day in August. And we will be trained to use the iPad 2s to develop integrated curriculum unit. My intent is to become facile with the iPad 2 in order to know if it's a direction we want to pursue for further technology purchases for the school. But the 2 teachers are Susan Schmidt and Nancy Goodhue, our peak program teacher, alternative program teacher, and Nancy, who is our healthy life skills teacher, and I are going next week for the first training day. Several to come. So we're excited about that. This is for information purposes because you've approved this trip in the past. Our peak program is going camping on May 31, June 1 and 2.
I hope it stops raining.
Right, by then, I know. By then, it should have it out of its system and all the pollen will be gone.
Could be snow.
So they're going to Jamaica State Park for those 3 days, 2 nights.
And that's a peak is a
P-E-A-K.
P-E-A-K.
Yeah, capital letters, it's peak. It's not even an acronym for anything.
Oh,
It's peak. It's not, I know it. It's not. A team of teachers and I, along with Brian Bittner, who's the district literacy coach, we have been working to develop a literacy clinic model at VAMS for next year, and we're well into the development of it. Next Monday, we're going to Keene Middle School to observe a reading program there. There'll be 2 teachers, Brian and I. So we look forward to that visit as well. And I guess that's it, other than 2 resignations I need to present.
Okay. Steve?
So we've been busy at the high school side as well. We have finished our science kneecaps, and at the same time, we've also been doing our AP exams. That's created some issues of scheduling that we're trying to work out for next year because we have juniors who are taking both exams, and that obviously makes them very stressed, so we're still working on that for next year. Administrative hiring is in full swing. We've completed the first round of interviews for both the dean position, and Mr. Torrey served on that committee, and we've also completed the first round of interviews for the assistant principal positions, 1 permanent and 1 interim, and Ruth has served on that committee as well. The next step is with the assistant principal committee, we're bringing 4 candidates to meet with faculty focus groups in small groups to kind of learn a little bit more about them, and then we're going to have faculty members assess the strengths of each candidate, and then the committee will meet again to discuss and make final recommendations. Final Practical Arts is having their first annual show and senior awards night, Tuesday, May 24th from 4:30 to 6. They're choosing to do their senior awards at that time. They're also working with Mr. Blomgren and on the Sterling of the Heifer mural. That's going to be prominent in that parade. We had our travelers from UHS Abroad who went to Germany and Switzerland would like to come and do a presentation of their experience to the board sometime in the near future.
Okay.
They'd like to do that very much. And like Ingrid, we also have a team going to the DOTS technology program for the same purpose. It's going to be myself and Karen Rawazi, who is our applied media teacher, and Casey Dean, who is our diversity teacher, and they're pretty excited about what we can do with the iPads. The last thing I have is a communication from the Department of Education listing our Year 2 school improvement actions.
Wow.
Dr. Staley has signed that, and
Do I need to sign that
you
as well?
do need to sign that, and then I sign it, we send it back.
Do you want to pass it around?
Yep.
This is, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Coughlin?
Yes, the forestry and horticulture students have returned from their annual national soil judging competition in Oklahoma, and this year there were a number of complaints as the soil seemed to had been allowed to dry, which I guess messes up the calculation. The best of our students have reached 18th, which is not bad for a national competition, I don't think. Over on the side there, you'll see an example of the horticulture rain barrel project that we've been working on.
I was wondering what that was. Whether they were trying to brew beer in it or something.
Well, never mind. And that has proven to be quite a success. We had planned to sell those at the farmers market throughout the summer for some of those times. They are now all sold out.
Wow.
So
How much were they?
$35.
That's a good deal.
Oh, it's a great deal.
And they were painted like that?
They were painted like that, yeah. So we're very pleased on that. That's a continuing project that will move on. Our Regional Advisory Board is meeting tomorrow at noontime at Hinsdale, New Hampshire. Moving down the line, our Senior Recognition Night will be June 8th here at the high school. Usually, I believe that starts at 7. And then we have 2 performances coming up. The WRCC dance program end-of-year presentation will be Tuesday, May 24th at 7 o'clock at New England Youth Theater. And we have a new class this year, the Introduction to Performing Arts, which is primarily circus-oriented. That'll be their performance will be at Cotton Mill Sunday, June 12th, and I believe that's at noon, or around that time. I'm sure there'll be more information following. And we are also interviewing for replacements for Mr. McDonald, and I believe we'll see the vast majority of the WRCC committee there helping us on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Great. Dr. Staley's in Guilford tonight at the Guilford School Board meeting there. And my report this evening as board chair, just to let the board know, over the last several weeks I've been receiving some calls from parents, particularly asking that the board or myself intervene in some student matters. And what I've been doing is simply referring those parents back to the administrators to go through the chain of command that we have in place to do that. Any board member that gets a call from a parent that is uncomfortable handling the call can certainly refer them to me, and I can go through the process of making sure that they get handheld and go back to the administration with their issues. And with the proviso, obviously, that if the parents feel that they still aren't getting satisfaction, that they can come back to us on the board level and we'll look into it. But in both situations, it appears that those have resolved because I haven't heard back from the parents. So just to give everyone a heads up on that occurs from time to time. Other than that, it's been very, very quiet in the board chair's position. We're getting ready for graduation, and there are a lot of events and obviously a lot of changes that are occurring in the administration of our schools, which we'll talk about in a little bit. That's it for the chair's report. I'm going to move into the unfinished business segment of this and talk about the board retreat. It appears that we cannot all get together on the 13th or the 20th of June due to scheduling conflicts. So what I'm going to do is to make a decision that we'll schedule the board retreat for the first meeting in July, which would be normally the 4th, but it's Independence Day, so the 11th. We will schedule that meeting as a board retreat. And hopefully everyone can be there. It will not require administration because it's an opportunity just simply for the board to get together, to talk about plans and things that, and a get to know each other session.
So it'll be at 7 o'clock or time to be arranged?
Time to be arranged. If we want to meet earlier, I'm going to make arrangements for us to meet at a restaurant. We have that money in our budget so that we can sit. Obviously, if there's alcohol, the alcohol's on the personal budget, but we'll have a meal there and sit around and plan out some things that we want to accomplish as a board. Another unfinished business, I'll turn it over to Planning and Policy to review the policies that are on the agenda.
Having not met again since the last time, we have not had an opportunity to review this.
Okay, so with regard to those then, that I'm going to suggest that you not put them on for a final reading. Next meeting, I would put them on for the additional reading. So that way then you can review them. If you see changes, we can discuss them at that meeting and then let it sit and approve it at the next meeting after that. Is that all right with everyone? Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So that's good. Then we'll move right into new business. And Ingrid, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Okay, I do have two resignations. One is from Ellen Rago, social studies teacher. She has accepted a position at Dummerston School,
Would you pass that down?
teaching English and social studies. She would like to be a humanities teacher, and she's a very, very good teacher. I'm sorry to see her leave us. So that's effective the end of this school year. As I mentioned earlier, we are in progress to hire a replacement candidate. The other resignation will come as a great surprise to everybody here, and it is with regret that I share that Scotty Tabachnik has accepted a position as principal at Kern Hatton School, effective July 1. And obviously I'm very, very pleased for him that he's able to continue to advance his career. So we do have this unexpected vacancy as well.
Okay. So you need a motion from the board to accept the resignations. Is there a motion, please?
I move that we accept the resignations of Helen Rago and Scotty Tabachnik with regret.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
This is all within contractual time.
In fact, administrators have not received contracts yet.
Right.
Right.
Oh, that's right, but with Ellen.
I think that's due. So I would like to make a comment on all the administrative changes that we're experiencing. I'd like to personally say that I don't begrudge the changes. They're all promotions, and I don't believe that we should ever hold back someone from the opportunity to pursue a promotion and additional responsibility and opportunity. I wish all the administrators leaving for the advanced positions the best of luck, and would like to support them in any way we can to help them succeed in their new positions. So, just that's a personal comment and doesn't necessarily reflect everyone, but
It's good.
I'll sign.
it leaves a lot of holes in and a lot of work for us, but it's good for them, and that's great.
And those who are still here will be happy to have you stay. The last of the Mohicans down here at the end of the table.
Thank you. So,
Could I get the spelling Ellen Rigo,
It's
R-I-A.
Rago, R-A-G-O, Ellen. Ellen Rago. And then, do you need Tabachnik spelled?
Yeah.
Okay, T-A-B-A-C-H-N-I-C-K.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of the motion as presented to accept the resignations with regret, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's unanimous. All right. Let's see here.
So, Ingrid, both of these, no, I mean, they'll be known shortly, but.
Ellen's resignation is known in the building. Scott's is not. I intend to let him know the board's action this evening, and then I will notify my staff. It's not known yet. We do have an executive session coming
Yes.
brief after this.
Yes. The next item on the agenda, all board members should have received a contract extension for transportation services. Is everyone familiar with that document? Good. We need to move that I'll make the motion, that our contract with First Students be extended in compliance with Vermont statutes for a period of 1 year for the 2011-2012 school year with the agreed rollback in cost of 4%.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. The request from Jim King calls for additional extensions on this, but I feel that we can approve the motion just to extend the contract for the 1 year, come back to it in finance and frame it there, and then put it into consent agenda. Make sense?
So you would only really approve, those two things aren't tied together, the rollback only is based on getting 2 more additional years? But in reading this, I wasn't quite sure what the objective on their part was and the willingness to roll back prices. And I assumed it was tied in with getting 2 additional years.
Yeah, I don't see that in there, but it's,
I mean, if we can do that, that's fine, but I'm not sure that's, that they're...
it just says with a
mutually exclusive.
possibility. Yeah, so I was going to ask for more information on that before I
It would be nice to
get the details.
get the details.
Right, I mean, I can't, I think it sounds fiscally sound to get a new contract that's with 4% reduction in our existing contract based on where fuel prices are.
Right, well, that's the other part of it. It just seemed a little fuzzy to me, and I would,
Right.
if it's not important that we give our blessing tonight, I would be interested in hearing more from Jim on it.
On the whole thing or just on the second
Well,
portion?
I don't see how I guess we could approve just the first part, but I don't think that's going to be, I think they're tied together.
Yeah, the issue is that we have no more meetings in June. Oh, we have our June meeting, yes, we
Yeah,
do.
we have 1 meeting in June.
We have 1 meeting in June. What's the sense of the board?
My reading was the same as yours, that the only thing that they were asking for approval right now is that first year, and that the future years were separate. Can we approve it with the stipulation that that is our understanding?
So you can make a friendly amendment.
Okay, I'd like to make an amendment that we approve this with the stipulation that our understanding of the contract as presented is that we can approve simply the first year at this point in time.
Okay, so there's a friendly amendment to this. Is there a
I'll second the
second
amendment.
amendment? Okay, so we'll discuss the amendment first.
So this would include the 4% rollback.
Yeah, the amendment is that
Just the-
on prima facie, what we've got is what we're approving, and that's it.
Right. And if everybody's concern is true that 4% was tied into a 3-year, then our approval doesn't go forward.
That's right. That's right.
I'm
Is that
okay with
satisfactory?
that, yeah.
We're okay with that? Okay, so all in favor of the amendment as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? So that motion is unanimous. Then on the main motion, which is to approve the extension of the contract for 1 year with a rollback of 4%. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is unanimous.
Why the change in contracting format? Do we know why?
That's what we need to find out.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if there was anything else.
And why
like,
there's
it
a
just,
rollback.
It seems,
It may
the
be
rollback's nice, but I'm just usually
Yeah.
we just do it as a 3-year thing. And
There's
it's
more.
kind of rubber
There's
stamp.
more to this that we need to find out. But in terms of giving the go-ahead to say, okay, we'll agree to the first part of it. Why not?
Actually, there had to be a reduction in cost to be able to continue it this way, according to the
Statute?
The statute.
Really?
Yes, that was included in the thing. In order to continue it without putting it to bid, there had to be a reduction in cost.
Oh, I see
Then
what
it
you're
had to
saying. In order
increase
to avoid the
according
bid
to need.
process.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Now that makes some sense.
I just want to, with the stipulation that, as we understand this, that we can approve the first year at this time. Is that what we're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere.
I got it a little
Okay.
fun. Okay.
Is there anything else under new business that needs to come before the board this evening? Okay, there being none, then I'm going to, Ingrid, is this the, I'm going to move that we go into executive session to discuss a staff matter.
Yes, thank you.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We'll give it to Russ.
Okay.
Any discussion?
It's fine.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We'll go right into the conference room here, so that Jeff can break down. Jeff, there may be, in fact, a motion afterwards. Ingrid, will there be a motion?
I hope so.
Okay, so you could turn that off. Will probably be a short period of time. We'll come back on, and you can capture the motion. Is that all right?
Should stick around for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Resolve executive session at 8:08 p.m. And the board has heard the situation. Is there a motion with regard to the executive session?
Yes, I'd like to move that the board accept the administration recommendation of a 1-year interim assistant principal position at BAMS for the 2011-2012 school year.
For
And a point.
And appoint Jerry Curry in that role for that interim of time.
right, and just for clarification, that would be for the 11 and 12 school year.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, you did. Thank
I'll second that motion.
you. Ruth seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all board members in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed or any abstentions? Would you please let her know that the board's unanimous in its decision?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there anything else that needs to come before the board?
Maybe I should have said this before, but it's really nice that somebody inside and somebody who has experience, and she interned with you already in that position. With
Yes.
all of the changes that are going on, it's very nice to have somebody that familiar, that good.
That hasn't gone unnoticed in my mind.
And that we can promote from within.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else before the board this evening?
I will adjourn.
Move to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Russ, you didn't vote, so you want to stay? Oh.